Hey everybody, how's it going? This video we're going to cover filling out a transaction card for a seller. It's pretty much just like the other one, but I just wanted to create a video and walk you through it. Uh, as usual, you start right with your template. Come up here, hit the green button. We'll call this Sally Seller. And we're assuming she's just jumped right in as a new seller. The Trello automatically add a label for you, add the deal status. You want to go ahead and create a seller's template. This is where you're going to really add and work with all the marketing checklists, follow-ups, put all your prospects in here. There's not enough room on the card, as I mentioned. You're going to see two other videos covering this more in detail. Actually, you're going to see that in this card right here. This is one of the four videos that is created by this other agent. This was the inspiration of the board. He does a really good job explaining the basics on what you're going to be doing. What we've added to the cards a little more in depth to the board, but you'll get the gist of it. Now on the sellers, there's a few things you're going to notice a little bit different. When you come down to the bottom, it's going to add a required listing document checklist. So these are documents that you want to be able to attach directly to the folder. Some additional notes up here. Now, as a seller, you can start right away with the list price that you worked with. You'll have an MLS right away. You'll have the folio number right away. You'll know who you're representing right away. The seller, you know what type it is. In this case, it's a sell. You know it's in the internal. You'll know what type of property it is right away. Okay, condo, you know what county it's in. You won't know any of the buyer's information at this point, but you will know the seller's name. You'll add that in right here. You'll of course know your listing details. Uh, this information you won't know right away, but you'll know the listing date immediately. You know the lockbox code. This stuff will come if you make any offers, and all this will be filled out later. So that's it right at the initial level. You want to go ahead, if you're using Google Drive, go ahead and link your Google Drive folder for this account directly to the card. We showed you that previously. And you want to go ahead and make sure at this point you know the address of the listing. That's right here in location. I always want to add the location of the property you're working with for your seller, and of course, like with your buyers. So uh, bingo, put it right in. This is a nice, great hot link to go along with it. So now you got all the basic details when you just started working with the transaction for a seller. At this point, you would go ahead and create a seller's transaction board, and this board is strictly for this seller and this transaction. So once you fill that out, you'll link it to that card as well. Now, it's slightly different going forward as far as labeling the card, because you're going to treat the card from the seller's side going forward. So when you receive the offer, you're going to move it over to the offer right here, but you want to update the card to include, uh, I would put the name of the buyer, in this case, Joe Buyer. So you kind of know what this card is. The reason you do this is you may get more than one offer on the property. Uh, if you do get more than one offer on the property, you want to create another card from the template right here. Put them right over into the seller section, or excuse me, right into the offer section, and fill out one for the additional buyer. If you have 3 or 4 buyers, then you would just keep filling one out. Start with the template, add it in. It'll put everything that's necessary to add additional offers for this particular seller. In this day's market, that will happen. So you just create more and more cards. You just create one card for each additional buyer. At this point, you fill out the buyer's information, the buyer's agent's information. Uh, if the offer is canceled, you move it to the canceled folder list down here. If the offer is accepted, you're going to move it to pending. Just like with the buyer, some automations are going to take place. It's going to add some status. It's going to add some additional checklist while working with the buyer part of it. So some of the required documents, let you know what you need. Here's some required closing documents. All right. So you got everything that you need initially to complete the deal. Once you go to pending, that's where you'll start adding in the title information, the lender information, all the effective dates, due dates, sales price. At this point, you'd want to go ahead and fill in your commission dates. If you charge your client a transactions fee, here add those gross, subtract or add in your referral fees, subtract the magnet fee, coming up with your total down here. And again, you're going to continue working with the card through closing along with the transaction card for the file on the seller. And once it's closed, the two things will happen. It's either going to close or it's going to cancel out during inspections, or it doesn't make it through financing. So if it cancels, you move it over here. If it closes, you move here. Just like before, some automations will take place. Come down. See, you'll continue making sure all your required documents are in. I've been notified to review your file, and you are good to go. That's it for the seller side. If you have any questions at any time, just give me a call. More importantly, if you have any questions, what you want to do is learn how to use the comments section. And what you would do is if you had questions on this closing, you would just come down and add a note right in this section. Come in. You can see how here I added some notes for Jason. So by using this here, he got these notes automatically. So you would come in and just put here, put your note, and when you hit save, every hour Trello will look for these activities and notify the person that you mentioned. And this is the mention on here, and it'll show up just by hitting here. It'll let you know. In this case, it'll be me, you, and Stanley would be the only people that you can mention on your transaction board, because these are the only people involved on it. So that's it. I hope that is helpful to you guys. Again, if you have any more questions, come back through the basics, watch these videos here, or rewatch these videos that I just made. All right, guys, that's it.